The world of football is a place where transfers are becoming even more of a common occurrence, and the sums of money clubs are willing to spend in order to sign the best talent from across the globe have reached an unfathomable level. With this increased desire and financial firepower to make deals happen comes a lot of risk. This is because not all transfers work out the way the club, fans, or the players themselves imagine. Expensive flops are becoming a bigger part of the game, and as such, it is becoming even more difficult to answer the following question. What is the worst football transfer in recent memory? Well, that's the question we've set out to answer as we rank football's worst transfers ever, below. The factors taken into consideration when ranking each signing included the following: expectations upon signing, transfer fee, sell-on fee, longevity at the club they signed for, statistical performance. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Angel Di Maria to Manchester United transfer fee, £60 million, one of many high-profile United transfers that have flopped in recent times. Di Maria was widely regarded to be up there with the most creative players in the world at Real Madrid. However, his spell at United swiftly put a stop to that suggestion. The Argentine impressed in the opening stages of his switch, even scooping the club's Player of the Month award. After that, though, a hamstring injury and a break-in at his house was enough to unsettle the star, whose performances fell off a cliff and didn't stop until they hit rock bottom. Throughout his time in England, it was evident that Di Maria didn't want to be there, and he jumped ship at the first opportunity available to join Paris Saint-Germain the following summer. Romeu Lukaku to Chelsea transfer fee, £97.5 million. Chelsea will appear on this list more than once, as the West London club have been one of the most active teams in the transfer market in world football over the past 2 decades. Lukaku was meant to be the returning hero as Chelsea swooped to sign their former Belgian forward in the wake of his Serie A triumph at Inter Milan. It was meant to be a fairy tale story of the striker returning to the club he didn't initially make it at, and elevate them to the Premier League title. Instead, it quickly turned into a nightmare as Lukaku lost his starting berth in the team under Thomas Tuchel, and took it upon himself to give an unsanctioned interview with Sky Italy to express his desire to one day return to Inter. This obviously didn't go down well with the club or the fans, and the former Man United attacker was shipped out on loan after an extremely disappointing campaign at Stamford Bridge. It may go down as the worst signing in Premier League history when considering the finances involved. Eden Hazard to Real Madrid transfer fee, £103 million, rising to £135 million. The Belgian managed just 1 goal in his first season in the Spanish capital, which did nothing to cool the anger that was already boiling amongst the Madridistas after he turned up to pre-season 7 kilograms overweight. Hazard was then spotted laughing with former Chelsea teammates after the club knocked Los Blancos out of the Champions League and spent the majority of his time in Spain sidelined with persistent injuries. After failing to deliver on the lofty expectations he arrived with in 2019, the winger retired from football in 2023 at the age of just 32. It was a shame to see one of the Premier League greats bow out in such an underwhelming fashion. Alexis Sanchez to Manchester United transfer fee. Free when ditching Arsenal for United, Sanchez was pretty much seen to be the best player in the league. He was a phenomenon at the Emirates, and the prospect of him running the show at the Theatre of Dreams was a frightening one for rivals. The way it turned out, though, they needn't have worried. Sanchez scored just 3 league goals in 1.5 seasons in the Northwest. His ridiculous wage of £560,000 per week was a heavy burden on United, given he spent the majority of his career in red sitting on the bench. Eventually, he was loaned to Inter Milan, but even then, United was sending a hefty £200,000 per week in his direction. There is an argument to be made that Sanchez is one of United's worst signings of all time. Andriy Shevchenko to Chelsea transfer fee, £39.5 million. Roman Abramovich had been desperate to bring the Ukrainian to Chelsea for several years before eventually getting his wish in 2006. The problem was, it was his wish, not Jose Mourinho's. The Portuguese manager didn't actually want Shevchenko at the club for whatever reason, and that was reflected on the pitch. The 2004 Ballon d'Or winner spent most of his Chelsea career playing out of position and consequently scored just 9 Premier League goals in 48 matches. He lasted 2 seasons at the Bridge before he was sent back to Milan on loan. It's safe to say the Blues didn't get the version of the striker that they had hoped for, although the club do also have a poor track record with number 9s over the years. Antoine Griezmann to Barcelona. Transfer fee, £108 million. And now for another Barcelona flop. The first issue with this transfer was that the players didn't want the club to sign Griezmann, nor the manager. In truth, the deal summed up the state of the Barcelona board at the time. The Frenchman was signed on an enormous contract that put such financial strain on the club that it was a key factor in the eventual departure of their most prized asset, Lionel Messi. Griezmann endured a torrid time overall at Camp Nou, and the board eventually decided to loan him back to Atletico Madrid. Philippe Coutinho to Barcelona. Transfer fee, £121.5 million. We must admit it was a close decision between Coutinho and the man in second place. However, ultimately, Barcelona sold the Brazilian for a loss of approximately £100 million after one of the most anticlimactic transfers in history. Coutinho had been magical in the Premier League for Liverpool, and he was desperate to join the Spanish club, even handing in a transfer request to seal the move. With all the expectations surrounding the blockbuster move, it would be generous to say the Brazil international flattered to deceive in the famous shirt of Barcelona. And let's not forget those 2 goals he scored against them when on loan at Bayern Munich in the Champions League quarter-final. What a mockery.